Science is the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment.
Technology is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry.
Hi, we are the Group 2 and we are here to discuss the indigenous cultures of Asia which turns into cradle in early science. Science and technology make the world a better place to live in. Why? It's because science and technology has been a great help to mankind and make their lives better.
Technology provides us a better knowledge and a faster ways of locomotion and communication.
For better knowledge, computers have replaced books in the present world. A lot can be learned over the internet.
It helps in doing research on information for projects quickly rather than going to the library.
Science provided different ancient civilizations the means to survive and understand the natural and physical world.
It also enabled human beings to develop various technology that could help them in everyday tasks.
Tonight, we'll be discussing the different cradles of early science in Asia.
So, in this video, we're going to discuss the development of Asia, specifically China. So, China has been the source of many innovations, scientific discoveries, and inventions. This includes the four great inventions, which are paper making, the compass, gunpowder, and printing, which are both woodblock and bubble type, which also leads to a tremendous effect on Chinese civilization's advancement as well as a global impact. In terms of the economy, military technology, and diplomacy, and soft power impact, China is considered an emerging global superpower and has dubbed a growing second superpower in recent years, with global strength and influence equal to the United States. Looking back on China's history, it is undeniably that it is one of the Asia's most successful countries, as it has produced numerous inventions that had a significant effect on the world. In October 1964, China successfully conducted its first nuclear experiment, which demonstrated that China's science and technology had reached comparatively advanced levels. So, new science and technology development plans were mapped out across the country to guarantee the smooth reform of scientific and technological system. The state promulgated a series of policies and regulations, open up the technological market, strengthen the protection of intellectual property rights, improve the scientific award system, establish the experimental facility supporting system, and encourage the development of non-governmental science and technology institutes.
Albert Einstein once remarked that there's no difficulty in understanding why India and China did not create science. We will now discuss the contribution of China to the history of technology by focusing on a few key innovations. Paper was first used by the Chinese for wrapping, and it was not until the 3rd century that paper replaced the bamboo, silk, and wood as a writing medium. The invention of printing and improvements in paper making led to the printing of the whole set of the Buddhist sutras. Movable type was also invented in 15th century, and printing found its way to Europe. The Chinese began to use the woodblock printing in the 7th century, where the text is carved into a woodblock, which are then inked, and a blank sheet of paper is placed over the ink block so that the image can be transferred to the paper. The first example of a movable type is found in the Ming era of the China in the 11th century. It was used to print the Confucian classics and the Taoism canon. Science and technology in China has developed rapidly during 1990 to 2010. The Chinese government has placed emphasis through funding, reform, and societal status on country as well as for the national prestige. Without a doubt, China is one of the most significant contributor to science.
The development of science in Singapore. Singapore is a tiny country, so tiny that you can drive right across the island in just an hour. Despite its size and lack of natural resources, Singapore's 5.6 million people enjoy one of the highest average income in the world, ahead of countries like Germany, France, and Japan. So, how did this little island get so rich? Now let's go back to 50 years in the past. Singapore has undergone rapid transformation in the last 50 years, from being a low-income, non-industrialized economy to becoming one of the most innovative and wealthy ones in the world. Science, technology, and innovation policy has increasingly become a core component of national policies driving this growth. 50 years ago, technology served a functional role, but today, it is the central engine powering an ambitious economy. In the years leading up to and after independence in 1965, entrepot trade was the mainstay of the Singapore economy. The fledgling nation, in order to survive, had to find means to leapfrog technologically to make up for the constraints of its physical and resource limitations. With people as Singapore's most valuable resource, it was recognized early on that leading in the field of science and technology will set it apart. The Science Council, established in 1967, advises the Minister of Trade and Industry on scientific and technological matters relating to research and development and to training and utilization of manpower. Here are some of the contributions of Singapore to the world. First is the creation of Sound Blaster. Sound Blaster is a family of sound cards invented by Sim Wong Hu and his company Creative Technology. Next is the ARCT-021 vaccine for COVID-19, developed by Singaporean scientists at the Duke Medical School. Next is the USB flash drive. Although similar concepts exist at that time, the current design was originally invented by Singaporean company named Trek 2000 International. Next is the self-driving cars. The concept of self-driving cars have existed for decades. But now, Singapore is going to turn this dream into reality by introducing the world's first driverless taxi system. Though it may be odd for a foreigner to enter a car and realizes that there is no driver in there, yet Singaporeans are steadily getting used to this technological miracle. Next is hiring robotic police. Though Singapore's crime rate is already some of the lowest in the world, the implementation of technologies into police performance creates even more troubles for criminals. Lastly, we have smart streets. Singapore is currently aiming to make its streets smarter by installing lampposts that can lighten up avenues while brightening the city's technological future. Those new lamps are equipped with sensors and analytical systems. With the help of sensors, it will be possible to monitor environmental changes such as temperature, rainfall, and humidity. With the increasingly competitive global technology landscape, it is crucial that Singapore constantly adopts innovative technologies to sustain and bolster economic competitiveness.
This video talks about the development of science in Asia, especially in Japan. Japan is an island country in East Asia located at the Northwest Pacific Ocean. Science and technology in Japan is focused on prominent in vehicle technology, consumer electronics, robotics, medical devices, space exploration, and the film industry. Japan's focus on intensive mathematics education and the reverence for engineers in Japanese culture aids engineering talent development, which has produced advances in automotive engines, television displays, technology, video games, optical clocks, and many other fields. Japan is one of the leading nations in the field of scientific research, technology, machinery, and medical research with the world's third largest budget for research and development. Japan is now in a position to lead the world in the progress and development of science and technology as one of the leading countries in this area. Japan is an incredibly technologically advanced nation. Visiting their fair isles is like taking a time machine to the future. The Japanese have embraced technology like no other nation on the planet. Perhaps the most well-known aspect of the technological innovation which can be found in Japan is the fast infrastructure. The first high-speed train, or so-called bullet train, was built in Japan. In medieval Japan, they created and expanded on a lot of resources such as paint, fire balloons, which were used in combat, as well as a katana, which was a blade made for a samurai to kill their enemies in one swift movement. In the early 17th century, they didn't have many materials to help create their supplies.
Let's talk about the development of science and technology in India. India ranks third among the most attractive investment destinations for technology transactions in the world. Modern India has had a strong focus on science and technology, realizing that it is a key element for economic growth. India is among the topmost countries in the world in the field of scientific research, positioned as one of the top 5 nations in the field for space exploration. The country has regularly undertaken space missions, including missions to the moon and the famed Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, or PSLV. Ancient India was a land of sages and seers, as well as a land of scholars and scientists. Many techniques and theories made by the ancient India have created and strengthened the fundamentals of modern science and technology. Here are some of their contributions that have made an impact to the world. The idea of zero. Little needs to be written about the mathematical digit zero, one of the most important inventions of all time. Mathematician Aryabhata was the first person to create a symbol for zero, and it was through his efforts that mathematical operations like addition and subtraction started using the digit zero. The concept of zero and its integration into a place value system also enabled one to write numbers, no matter how large, by using only 10 symbols. The decimal system. India gave an ingenious method of expressing all numbers by means of 10 symbols. In this system, each symbol received a value of position as well as an absolute value. The simplicity of the decimal notation, which facilitated calculation, this system made the uses of arithmetic practical inventions much faster and easier. Fibonacci numbers. The Fibonacci numbers and their sequence first appear in Indian mathematics as Matra Meru, mentioned by Pingala in connection with the Sanskrit tradition of prosody. We have also binary numbers, Chakravala method of algorithms, ruler measurements, and the theory of atom.
The heliocentric theory. Mathematicians of ancient India often applied their mathematical knowledge to make accurate astronomical predictions. The most significant among them was Aryabhata, whose book Aryabhatiya represented the pinnacle of astronomical knowledge at the time. He correctly propounded that the Earth is round, rotates on its own axis, and revolves around the Sun. Example is the heliocentric theory. He also made predictions about the solar and lunar eclipses, duration of the day, as well as the distance between the Earth and the Moon. Wood steel, a pioneering steel alloy matrix developed in India. Wood steel is a crucible steel characterized by a pattern of bands that was known in the ancient world by many different names, such as Ukur, Hindwani, and Syric iron. This steel was used to make the famed Damascus swords of yore that could cleave a free-falling silk scarf or a block of wood with the same ease. Produced by the Tamils of the Kara dynasty, the finest steel of the ancient world was made by heating black magnetite ore in the presence of carbon in a sealed clay crucible kept inside a charcoal furnace. Smelting of zinc. India was the first to smelt zinc by the distillation process, an advanced technique derived from a long experience of ancient alchemy. The ancient Persians had also attempted to reduce zinc oxide in an open furnace but had failed. Zawar in the Tiri Valley of Rajasthan is the world's first known ancient zinc smelting site. The distillation technique of zinc production goes back to the 12th century after death and is an important contribution of India to the world of science. Seamless metal globe, considered one of the most remarkable feats in metallurgy. The first seamless celestial globe was made in Kashmir by Ali Kashmiri ibn in the reign of the Emperor Akbar. In a major feat in metallurgy, Mughal metallurgists pioneered the method of lost wax casting to make 20 other globe masterpieces in the reign of Mughal Empire. Before these globes were rediscovered in the 1980s, modern metallurgists believed that it was technically impossible to produce metal globes without any seams, even with modern technology. Plastic surgery, written by Sushruta in 6th century BC. Sushruta Samhita is considered to be one of the most comprehensive textbooks in ancient surgery. The text mentions various illnesses, plants, preparations, and cures along with complex techniques of plastic surgery. The Sushruta Samhita's most well-known contribution to the plastic surgery is the reconstruction of the nose, known also as rhinoplasty. Cataract surgery. The first cataract surgery is said to have been performed by the ancient Indian physician Sushruta, way back in 6th century BCE. To remove the cataract from the eyes, he used a curved needle, Jabamukhi Salaka, to loosen the lens and push the cataract out of the field of vision. The eye would have been bandaged for a few days till it healed completely. Sushruta's surgical works were later translated to Arabic language, and through the Arabs, his works were introduced to the West. Lastly, the iron-cased rockets. The first iron-cased rockets were developed in the 1780s by Tipu Sultan of Mysore, who successfully used these rockets against the larger forces of the British East India Company during the Anglo-Mysore Wars. He crafted long iron tubes, filled them with gunpowder, and fastened them to bamboo poles to create the predecessor of the modern rocket. With a range of about 2 kilometers, these rockets were the best in the world at that time, and caused as much fear and confusion as damage. Due to them, the British suffered one of their worst ever defeats in India at the hands of Tipu.
Development of science technology in Asia. Science technology in the Philippines. Science technology in the Philippines describes scientific and technological progress made by the Philippines and analysis related policies issues. The main agencies responsible for managing science and technology is the DOST, or the Department of Science and Technology. The history of science and technology in the Philippines started way back before the country gained its independence from the American colonizers. Before the coming of the Spanish colonizers, the early inhabitants of the archipelago have their own cultures and traditions. Science in pre-Spanish Philippines is embedded in the way of life of the people. Technology used by people by building houses, irrigations, developing tools for planting, hunting, cooking, fishing, for fighting their enemies, for transportations, and etc. When the Spaniards colonized the country, they brought with them their own culture and practices. That's why many of practices and cultures of the Spanish nowadays are murag atong nakasanayan. This established schools for boys and girls, introduced the concept of subject and disciplines. It has the beginning of the formal science and technology in the country, now known as a School of Science and Technology. During the Spaniards colonized, the learning of the science in school focused on understanding different concepts related of human body, plants, animals, and heavenly bodies. Technology focused on developing tools used in everyday lives. Filipinos developed ways to replicate the technology brought by the Spaniards. Medicine's advanced science were introduced in formal colleges and universities established by the Catholic orders. Americans have more influence in the development of science and technology in the Philippines. They established the public education system. They established a modern research university. The transportations and communications were improved. The organized and learning of science and technology is introduced in public and private schools. Since the establishment of new republic, the whole nation has been focusing on using its limited resources and improving in its science and technology capability. The development of science and technology in the Philippines were divided into two influences, which is internal influences and external influences. Internal influences, which is the survival, culture, and economic activities, and external influence, which is foreign colonizers, trades with foreign countries, international and economic demands. According to the Technology of Index of 1982, the state of science and technology of the Philippines is defined to be negative 0.1 compared to the US of the world's technology leader, which is 100. The Philippines is also ranks low in the term of technology capacity. Regarding to the type of basic technology, material technology, equipment technology, energy technology, information technology, life technology, and management technology, since 1986, the Philippines have prepared three comprehensive science and technology plans: the Science and Technology Master Plan, or the Science Technology Agenda for National Development, and the DOS Medium Term. By 2004, science technology shall be contribute significantly the enhancement of national productivity and competitiveness and to the solution of pressing national problems. By 2020, the Philippines shall have developed a wide range of globally competitive products and services which have high technology contents, which is the Philippines is improving in terms of science and technology since in 1982 until 2020.